All right. So I'd like to start by saying that when I came in for my PhD program, I have zero knowledge about what R is and how to make use of it in research. So my previous training way back in my undergraduate in psychology and eventually in my master's degree in counseling education were mainly uh, using SPSS in our data analysis for our research. But when I came over here at Tech, um, the program that I am in addictive disorders and recovery studies is research intensive, and part of the training that we receive is being oriented on a variety of approaches and techniques in uh, handling data and running analyses on these data. So the first methods course that I have is a course in multiple linear regression, and that particular subject makes use of R in all the analysis that we are running. So at the start, I was really fidgety and really anxious about what's going to happen because, like as I mentioned earlier, I basically have no idea uh, how to make use of R in data analysis. Back home, when I was still in active duty as an assistant professor at the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, I've been hearing about R, and a lot of my colleagues in the college and in the university have been using this platform in their research. But with the limited knowledge that I have, that it is making use of programming language uh, and that you have to learn how to code, I was a little hesitant to learn it. And there have been a lot of workshops that were done back home, but I didn't attend any of those because of this fear of having to learn uh, a new language and being able to uh, make use of that language later on in my own study. So my comfort zone is SPSS. So and when I use SPSS, mainly the approach that I'm using is the click and point approach. So I have a data set, I import it in SPSS, probably from like an Excel or a CSV file, then make use of the graphical user interface in running my analysis. But quite recently, I have gained some interest in using R and have realized that it is a powerful tool, and at the same time it is a free tool that we can use in research. So I think this is going to be very helpful among people who are on a limited budget, those researchers who don't have access to funding to purchase like licenses for statistical softwares. So when I started learning this particular platform, uh, it was really a little challenging at the start, and I was actually worried that I won't be able to learn it. So the first meeting that I had in that stats class where we were introduced to R was last February. So that's basically a month ago, and from there I felt that while it is challenging at the start, once you are able to get hold of the basic, more fundamental things about R, you will be able to navigate it smoothly. uh, if you are also quite keen in researching and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. Because one thing that I realized about this platform that we are using is that there are a lot of several ways in which you can do a particular task or like if you're, say, for example, running a regression analysis or other statistical analyses, there is no singular process that you can do that. There are many other options depending on the particular package that you are using. So what you're seeing in the screen right now is uh, the window of our studio. So there's actually two uh, windows that you can use for the analysis. One is the R window, and this is basically the the console where you can type in your commands and manage your data. And another way through which you can make use of this platform is through the R Studio, which is a more for me, who is starting and who is just barely starting and using this particular platform, is really helpful, because if this R Studio that we're seeing right now is quite flexible in terms of what you want to show or to view in this particular screen. So what you're seeing now is the R Studio, which basically consists of four quadrants, as you are seeing now here. This one on the upper left part is where you can uh, open your script or uh, other file types, such as the R, this one, that the R Markdown, and on these things that you're seeing now, different files that you can see. But mainly what I am using is the R script, being a newbie in this particular process. So I particularly like R script because this is where I can type in all the commands or all the things that I want R to do, and I can actually save it and just run the same command, just open it next time around that I'll be analyzing the same data, and run it, and it will give me the same results. Uh, just below that is the console, which is more like the R window that I showed you earlier. You can also type in your commands here, but if you want to go back to those commands, what I'm doing is that I run, if at all I'm running it here, is that I copy paste the particular script and post it on the script document on top. So that helps me monitor the files that I'm using. On the upper right part is where you see the environment. This is basically where all your objects will show, and I'll later on we'll be discussing what an object is. What do I really mean when I say an object? But in a nutshell, an object is just an object basically, which would it can be anything here. It can be like a data frame. It can be like uh, it can even be a plot, or it can be anything that you assign it to be in this particular process. Then the history part is where you can see all of the codes that you have run. And if you save it later on, you can backtrack what has been done in your uh, in the data analysis that you're doing. There's also a tutorial tab here if you want to engage in several tutorials that are available in this particular platform. Then on the lower right of this window that you're seeing right now, you can see the files where you is basically like a directory of the files that you have in your computer. So as you can see right now, it will show you the folders that you have, the specific documents that you have. You can just, for example, click on this particular on a particular folder. It will bring you to the file that you need. The next tab is the plots tab. Later on, when we do certain analysis involving images or figures, or tables. All those images and figures get um, uh, presented in this particular plot, and you can actually export these images as a PDF or as JPEG. Another tab here is the packages tab, which contains all the package that you have installed. Now in R, when we say you're installing a package, you're basically installing a collection of functions, of data, of commands, uh, and these were basically developed already to by programmers to serve a certain purpose. So, for example, in what we are using, or what we have been using in our class, we one of the common packages that we use is the tidyverse package. So we have to install those package, and this particular tab here will show all the packages that you have installed in your computer. Uh, Another thing that I think is important to note here is that these packages, the compilation or collection of function, data, and codes that are included in these packages are stored in what we call a library. And one of the common thing that we also use that we do when we use R is calling in the library that you are supposed to use in your analysis. So specific analysis, specific tasks would entail use of different packages and different libraries. Now there are certain functions that are present in two or more libraries, and later on, as we start using this R for specific tasks, we can see that in certain cases, uh, specific functions are named either differently and in different packages or libraries, or there are times wherein the same label for the code have different functions across different libraries. And there are ways through which we can address the potential glitches that can happen because of these uh, nuances. And another interesting thing about R is that there is also a help tab, which is very helpful if you're starting it, because it basically has the the description of the particular function that you are using. It will also show you the package or the library that is using that particular function, or that has that particular function. Then there's also like an instruction on what arguments do you have to type in to be able to yield a particular result. So with that, I think we are ready to make use of R for a specific task. And mainly the purpose of why I am making this learning material in R is first to document my own progress as I make use of this relatively new software that I'm being introduced to right now. And another is to help out future students that I have, or colleagues who might have an interest in making use of R, and who wants to be reassured that to a certain extent, it while the learning curve is I believe steep when it comes to this, we will be able to make use of this for the at least if you're an intermediate user or a beginning user, you'll be able to make use of this to derive um, particular statistical results or analyses that you want to do. And as we are always reminded, even in the use of other statistical packages, we are always reminded that these statistical softwares or machines. And alongside learning how to make use of this statistical software is also the expectation that we try to learn as much as well the the nature and the assumptions of the statistical analysis that we are using. So there's that part of learning how to use R, and there's this equally, if not more important part of being able to understand and and really make sound decisions as to what statistical tests you are using. So with I think that ends this brief video, and I'll be posting on other short videos on uh, the specific tasks that we can do for using the R Studio and the R platform.